Fresh off Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's return from meeting with President-elect Donald Trump, all eyes are on what happens next regarding Donald Trump's threat of tariffs. The U.S. is Canada's largest trading partner, a significant market for many Canadian exporters for everything from oil and gas to food that is grown in Canada. A 25% tariff, as threatened by the former president, represents a potentially massive change in the trading relationship between what have otherwise been two steadfast partners. Joining us now to discuss the potential impact of the tariffs is Brendan Caldwell, director at Caldwell Securities Ltd. Brendan, as always, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, Theresa. This whole debate could actually end up being a fabulous thing for Canada. I'm going to start with that controversial take and then let you fire away with your questions.
All right, let's get into it. So how will Mr. Trump's trade tariffs affect the economy with an already struggling Canadian dollar?
Well, there's the tariffs and there's the threat of the tariffs. Those are two different things. I think that, to your point you said in your introduction, the U.S. is Canada's largest trading partner, but Canada is also the U.S.'s largest trading partner. And, there's 30 states where we are their number one recipient of their exports. So trade wars are, like any war, easy to start and darn difficult to end. So I'm not sure that, given his penchant for wanting to end wars overseas rather than start them, Mr. Trump is actually going to start this thing. As many people have commented, he does use these extreme statements to get what he really, really wants. It's an old negotiating technique. Not just him, but other people use it as well. So you say this outrageous thing, so whatever you end up wanting and getting seems perfectly reasonable by comparison. I think it could be really good for Canada and the Canadian economy if we start to act a little bit more like grown-ups and become more self-reliant, to diversify our trading networks, that we act as a proper partner rather than having a more, what is perceived, at least in the U.S., more parasitical relationship. So I think there's a lot of good that can come out of this discussion. But yeah, 25% tariffs, if that really happens, that's not going to be good for anybody.
And how do you think Canada should respond to these threats?
Oh, well, I think a few things. One, I think we should be open to negotiating and knowing what we really, really want to get. I mean, Mr. Trump, whatever he says, I think has a clear idea of what he would like. What he would like is the rest of the world to stop, in his perception, freeloading off America. Now, it is a one-sided America-centric view, because in as much as America feels that they are the policemen of the world, that they're always supporting everybody militarily, that everybody's relying on the American economy for their success, and there are points to all of those things. America does just print paper and send off paper in exchange for goods, paper in the form of American dollars and American treasuries, treasury bonds, treasury notes. So there is a sense in which this globalization thing has been beneficial for all parties, but particularly for America, in that they've got lots of goods and services and just given paper in exchange. So I think it's a more complicated issue than maybe it first appears.
With how complicated it is, I'm curious, what do you think the outcome's going to be here?
Well, as I'm alluding to, I think my hoped-for outcome is that Canada takes a greater responsibility for itself, in that we are way behind on military, for example, where we are dependent on the United States for the protection of the northern part of the continent, but also to do anything overseas on behalf of our allies or in regions of distress. We have limited capability, despite having one of the G7 great economies in the world, limited ability to actually respond. I was over in Holland for the 80th anniversary of the liberation there just a few weeks ago, and seeing from a military perspective what the Dutch are capable of in terms of equipment, material that we simply don't have. It's interesting, but also in terms of pipelines to blue water for our energy, which is still our number one export. We are the only normal petrocurrency in this world. So I think it's worth becoming responsible for who we are and what we can do.
Brendan, as always, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Theresa.